Welcome and hello. Today we're going to be doing a tutorial for the test review that you have received on Wednesday. These are just to kind of help remind you we have measurements. You will not have to use a ruler. You will have access to a star chart, so we'll have this available here. Go ahead and please put your first name and your last name and the date. Today is the 25th. Your test is going to, the 26th. And your test will be tomorrow. Okay, put your period number. Now, if you can get a parent or guardian signature here, that is extra credit. It's not required, but it'll be an extra credit grade, and a lot of kids could, benefit from that no matter where you stand. Also, if you bring this paper back completed, both sides, you will get a small prize. If you were in class today, you may have received the answer key, so you do have an answer key that walks you through, but this video is for a tutorial in case you needed just to be reminded of how we did it in class, okay? So let's get started. We did a tour of knowledge if you were here, but if not, go ahead and work these with us. You have the dimensions of a rectangular prism are shown in meters. What is the volume of the rectangular prism in cubic meters? So we're looking for the volume, and we do know it's a rectangular prism, so it's basically a box. And remember, you're looking at like the top and the bottom, so we have learned to shade the base, and that is a rectangle. And if you look at that, if this part's 5.5, then this part is 5.5. And if this part is 3, then this part also is 3. So the dimensions here are 5.5 and 3, okay? And then we've also taught you to look for the H. So the height here is 3. And then when you close the bottom, the base here is 5.5. So we have our list. That's one of the first parts that we do when we are working with our geometry. The other part is we're going to look for the correct formula. Since we're looking for volume, volume is here, and we have this formula. In 5th grade, you just did length times width times height, but we're doing this differently because we do have an algebra component, and so we do need to now use area of the base. Remember, the big B stands for area of the base, and we are taught to make a little 3 chart, like a T chart, and then we're going to fill in what we know. The area of the base would be the area of a rectangle, and we know that the formula for the area of a rectangle is A equals BH. So we'll use the BH right here. Remember, that's a small b and a small h. That means it is the height, that's a line, and the base, that's a line. And so that's why those are this way. And then the two bases, the bottom and the top, are always connected in a prism by the height. And we have that like the special algebra or the curly Q, like the elephant trunk. We're multiplying with that. So imagine you have a sheet of paper, stacked, 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 and it's that high. That would be the volume of your paper. So one sheet of paper, and then how high is it stacked? And then we copy and we put our blanks, and then we use our list here that we have. So the first B is 5.5, and then the H is 3, as I'm seeing here. And then the height, the connecting line for the two bases, is a 1. And so in this case, you're going to multiply these 3 numbers, 5.5 times 3 times 1. It's probably easier to multiply 3 times 1. And so you'll have B equals 5.5 times 3, because 3 times 1 is 3. And then show your work off to the side, 5.5. Remember, if you're at home and you don't have this paper, you can write this part that I'm doing on a blank sheet of paper and submit it, and it'll count as your homework. 3 times 5 is 15. Put a 5 and carry the 1. 3 times 5 is 15, and 1 more is 16. We have 1 decimal place in the problem, so 1 decimal place here. And our answer here is 16.5, and it was meters, so it'll be meters cubed. Remember, we're looking for how many cubic units would fit in there. The next problem, it says the perimeter of a triangle is 104. The combined length of units. The combined length of 2 of the sides of the triangle is 64 units. What is the length of the third side of the triangle in units? Remember, algebra makes it look like you're able to do some kind of magic. So imagine you have a triangle. If you were taking your test and you saw a problem like this on your paper, you would sketch the triangle. And on a triangle, you know you're adding up all 3 sides. So A plus B plus C. Remember, that's the perimeter. In this case, they're telling us that it equals to 104. It says the combined length of 2 of the sides is 64. What is the length of the third side? So if we combine these two, this side and that side, we would be able to tell what this side is because we know the total of them all together is 104. So imagine these two together equals 64 plus the c equals 104. And if we were trying to find that unknown value, we would do the opposite. So the opposite here, remember this is the algebra part. You want to create a zero pair here. And then if you subtract 64 from this side, do the same here, and you end up with 4 minus 4 is 0, and 10 minus 6 is 4, and you have c equals 40. And a lot of people could just say, well, I could just say 104, take away 64, and yes, you certainly could, and get the same answer. I'm just showing you the algebraic way. Also imagine if the whole total length is 104, these are impossible numbers. They're like so much bigger. It couldn't be more than 104. It has to be something less. So even by not working out, you could kind of still tell. So that's like looking at the reasonableness of the answers. Okay, the next one we have the dimensions of a lawn shaped like a trapezoid are given in meters. So as we remember our trapezoid formula, if you look here, trapezoid is right there, and it's that kind of crazy looking formula. It's got a lot of pieces and parts. 1/2 base 1, base 2, and the height. So now, and we're looking, and remember this is a two-dimensional figure, so you want to locate the little square, and sometimes it might be upside down, but that looks like an H, so the H is equal to 4. And then the base and the other base. Remember, I taught you to make a peace sign and tap the trapezoid 2 times. A trapezoid has 2 bases, so base 1, we'll just start at the top, is equal to 18, and base 2, the bottom one, is equal to 12. We don't need that 5, so we scratch it out. Okay, again, on your test, you won't have this, you'll have to sketch it out, but that's how you would sketch it. And so then we copy the formula, and then we change these into blanks, all of the letters, the variables, and then we consult our list over here. B1, the number is 18. B2, the number is 12, and H, the number is 4. You're just exchanging or replacing them, right? And then in order of operations, we always do the parentheses first, so we're going to add those two together. 18 plus 12, right? 8 plus 2 is 10, 0, carry the 1, and now you have 3. So these two together combined equals to 30. Okay, so now we have 1/2 times 30 times 4. Remember, if there's not anything in between, this means times. You can put dots there if it helps you to remember as well. And so now here you can either take half of 30 or half of 4. Okay, a lot of kids probably think it's easier just to do half of 4, which is 2. And I would put 2, and I showed that I did 1/2 of 4, so 2 times 30, and I would just do that here. 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 3 is 6, so the area is 60. Now remember, if you use a calculator, you're going to change the 1/2 to 0.5, and then multiply times 30, and then multiply times 4. Those would be your numbers if you're using a calculator. Okay. All right, let's look at the back. It says the dimensions of a triangle are given in inches. What is the area of the triangle in square inches? So again, consulting our formula chart, the triangle formula is here. So we have area equals 1/2 base times height. And remember, that comes from looking like at a rectangle and you just take like half of the area. That's why that formula says 1/2 base times height. So we look for the square, we find the H right there, make a list. The H is 1, we close the H, and now it's a B. That's 1.5. We do not need that number. So now we're going to go over here and we're going to fill in 1/2 times base times height. So the B is 1.5 and the H is 1. And so now we're going to find this. Remember, if you're using a calculator, you're going to just put 0.5 times 1.5 times 1. And you'll calculate it this way. If you're not using a calculator, you would say, well, what's half of 1? Half of 1 is 0.5. So I'm going to put here 0.5 times 1.5. Remember, we're multiplying these. So I'm going to multiply 1.5 times 0.5. 5 times 5 is 25. Put a 5 and carry the 2. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 more is 7. Okay, and then we do the next one. That would be like the boot. And now if you're going to do the pizza part, you put your plate. 0 times 5 is 0. 0 times 1 is 0. Adding all those up, you end up with 0.75. There are 2 decimal places in this problem, so that answer is 0.75. And it's inches squared to the power of 2. The dimensions of a parallelogram are given in centimeters. What is the area of the parallelogram in square centimeters? So again, parallelogram and rectangle have the same formula. Area equals base times height. So we would write that formula down. And remember, you're going to look for the little square and then the line attached to it. That number that's closest to that square, that's your height. So make your list here. H equals 4.5. If you close the bottom of your H, now it looks like a B, and that number is 6. We do not need that slant length right there. So now we're going to come over here to our formula, and we're going to do base times height. The number for the B is 6. The number for the H is 4.5, and we're going to multiply those two numbers together, showing our work here. 6 times 5 is 30, put a 0 and carry the 3. 6 times 4 is 24, and then 3 more is 27. There's one decimal place, so we don't need that 0 after the decimal. So the area is 27 centimeters squared, and you see that there. The next one says, Samantha will construct a rectangle that has a height of 4 and an area of up to, so this is going to be like, up to means it's going to be less than or equal to 48 square units, which inequality represents all the possible lengths of the bases that Samantha can use. So you have this rectangle, and we know that the height of it is 4, and we know that the area is either less than or equal to 48, so up to. It can't be more than that, but up to 48, and then after that it stops. So it has to be less than 48 or equal to 48. But we do not know the base. This is where the algebra comes in. So we know that the formula for a rectangle is A equals B times H. And so now we know